But go on, Dr. Ross. Say what you have to say, and then she'll be on in a minute, I think. Dr. Ross, I must have muted you out when I muted everybody. Please unmute.
This is Dr. Pat.
Yeah. Okay.
This is Dr. Pat.
Okay. So take it away. But Dr. Ross, hold that point for the end because I want to hear it. Take it away, my dear.
No, if you want to say something, she can. I was on the phone and time went past me. I'm sitting right here.
So, Dr. Ross, can you say what you were going to say?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, it was just a challenge for to show yourself. You've made changes, you look different, and I visited some people and shown myself, and just because they saw me, they wanted to get the 21-day cleanse.
That's right.
Don't stay in the closet, come out and show yourself.
And before we pass it over to Dr. Pat, Dr. Ross, that is so true. I mean, you don't have to say a word, just show yourself. And that was the same thing that Coach Dan was talking about yesterday. Eat from your own table. You already got people to talk to. And so I charge everyone, my call to action today is that if you have done the 21-day cleanse or any of the phases and gotten some results, please post a picture on social media and don't talk about the product so much as the process, and say if anybody's interested, please DM me and ask me how I did it. Okay, Dr. Pat, we are waiting on you. Thank you, Dr. Rob.
All right. Thank you, Phyllis. Our phenomenal Phyllis Nash, always standing in the gap, always there. I'm sitting right here in front of the computer on the phone, and time went right past me until Douglas called me and said, "Are you on the phone?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm on the phone." She's like, "They're calling you." I'm like, "Oh my God."
That's okay. We knew you were coming.
That's all right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And I apologize for the delay. But I'm going to talk to you quickly today because some of our time is gone. But I tell you, I am just elated today. Do you hear me? I am on another cloud today, and my cloud higher today. So I'm just happy and excited. But I'm Dr. Pat, and I'm one of the co-founders of Wakana and also the president of Wakana. And I just want to talk to you about what we've done as a group here. We've taken part of a market that they said we weren't supposed to be in, that they said we had no business being in, and that we needed to wait for permission to get in. And the thing about Wakana did not wait for permission. The nation did not wait for permission. We rose up and we took a part of this market, and we took our piece of this market. And you know what? It's going to grow and grow and grow. So whenever there's a challenge, whenever someone tries to step out of line, the guardians of mediocrity are there to whip you back in space and get back in your place. You don't step out of line. You follow us. You do what we do. And we tell you when to move. We tell you what to do. It's like what Dr. Robert Keegan said he called that the third order of consciousness. He said most adults live in the third order of consciousness, where they allow other people to write their life code upon them. They have let other people write their limitations upon them and tell them what they're limited and what they can't do and what they can do. He said most people don't realize that's what they're doing, but they're just following whatever society said is, that's what is. But some of us awakened even as children. I know I did, and many of you probably did. Awakened, maybe when I was 9 years old or 10. And I just said, there's something wrong with this world. It just didn't seem right because things weren't right. And I didn't understand why they weren't right. I didn't understand structural racism, discrimination, slavery, none of that. I didn't know any about that because we didn't even learn that in school. Okay. They didn't even talk about slavery. So we knew nothing but what we heard from, through other people, other people's stories telling us about different things that happened. But anyway, the point I'm making is that society wants us to stay in a lane that they have carved out for us. And you better believe that lane does not lead to anywhere special or anywhere where you are protected or anywhere where you will be wealthy. It's the whole school system is all built around you learning how to use your brain to store things. Just to store things. Just gather in what we're teaching and regurgitate that back to us. Use your brain to store things all through life. But in reality, our brain was made to think. We was never meant to have a brain to just store things. We can store things in a file cabinet, right? We need to use our brain to think, to think our way through things, to think our way through to creation. I oftentimes say thinking through to creation. So not just thinking and stopping at the first question mark that comes to mind. What if this happens? What if that happens? But going beyond that and saying, you know what? I'm going to think this thing all the way through. So many of you all in the March Madness right now, and you're working through the March Madness. And I'm in the group with Roz. We're working through it as well right now. And the thing is, what Dr. Ross is constantly calling on them to do is to think through to creation. In other words, don't just say, "Oh, I'm going to get to, I'm going to get to bronze, or I'm going to get to silver or gold, or I'm going to get to sapphire or ruby." She said, "How are you going to do it? What steps will you take today? Think it through to creation." So I'm not sapphire today, but in order to become sapphire, there's certain things I need to do, and I need to think those things through. How do I do them? Who do I reach out to? What do I need to say? Where do I need to be? What do I need to unlearn that I've learned, and what do I need to learn? So all those things brings the forces of your being into play when you start thinking through something. You brings all of your emotions, your spirituality, your physical body, your biology, your neurology, your physiology. All this comes together, and when you make a decision that I'm getting ready to create something, I'm getting ready to change something in my life, and that's what the nation has done. What kind of nation has done? We dared to step out in the space that they dared us to step out in. Didn't want us to say anything. Wanted us to be quiet, and felt like if they push us around, that we'll go back to our place and stay where we are, stay where we were. But no, we can't do that, because where we were does not exist anymore for us. We cannot go back to the old way, because that land does not even exist. There's no place for us to go back to. So Lord, have mercy. Let us go forward. All right. Let us push in. When they say you can't, yes, we can. When they say you won't, yes, we will. Okay. When they say it's impossible, say nothing is impossible. There is no limit. There is no limit at all of what we have the capability to do. And the point I want to make last is that the power concedes nothing without a demand. It concedes nothing. That's what Frederick Douglass said. He said, if you want some power, you got to make a demand. You're not going to be able to just sit back and say, it would be nice if they gave us part of the cannabis industry. It would be nice if they gave us this or gave us an opportunity. Just give us an opportunity. But he said, look, just asking for an opportunity or wishing they gave you something is not going to work. You got to make a demand, okay? Because power is not going to concede anything without a demand. It's not going to do it. And that's also with the laws of God, the laws of the universe. There's no evidence of any supply at all unless you demand it. You got to be looking for something for it to be revealed to you. I mean, if you want to go higher in business, or higher in your spirituality, or higher in improving your health, you got to make a demand. You got to make a decision that, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. Not I want to, or I would like to do, but this is what I am doing right now. You know why? Because I'm putting a demand on this situation, on this circumstance, and I'm demanding a change. And I'm gonna give you an example. And some of you are a part of the newsletter. You see the newsletters that I sent out. I sent out a newsletter yesterday talking about the third time I had cancer and how I dealt with it. Well, by the third time I had cancer, I had evolved. Okay, I wasn't the same person that had cancer the first time, and I wasn't the same person that had cancer the second time. Now it was the third time, right? And I was dealing with, each time I dealt with it like the way I dealt with it. But when it got to the third time, and the doctor's telling me, "Oh, we need to cut your breast off." And I'm like, "Well, I never had chemotherapy. I never had radiation. And what, you want to cut my breast off?" "Yeah, that's what we suggest, because, you keep getting cancer. So we need to cut your breast off." And I just said, I ain't getting my breast cut off. I'm not getting my breast cut off. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, talking about it's just a precaution. And I don't need no precaution when you cutting my breast off. All right. So they made me mad. Okay. I'm like, look, I'm sick of this.
Oh my God.
I'm tired of dealing with this. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna find a doctor, and and I'm not getting my breast cut off. I'm just not doing it. This ain't gonna happen. That's it. So I go to this other doctor, find these other doctors, go to this doctor, and he finds a different treatment option where I don't need all the stuff they said I was going to need, tamoxifen and chemotherapy and radiation and all that stuff that they had told me. That was what he told me the second time I had cancer. The third time I had cancer, they didn't even suggest that I take no chemo. They're like, we just want to cut your breast off. I'm like, what? So anyway, I made a demand. And the other times when I had cancer, each time I said, I prayed when I went to the mammogram, they wouldn't find anything. Then they got the mammogram and said, we have something looks suspicious. And I prayed that, it wouldn't be anything when I got there. And each time when I got there, they did a biopsy and it came back, and I'm praying that they come back and say it's nothing, but they come back and say, no, it's cancer and you need to have surgery. So at that point, my prayer was always, God, just let me give you praise and glory all the way through it. Okay. I don't want to, be fretting or fearful or anything, because I know I'm in your hands. And so I just let it work out, let me make it through it. So first time made it through it. It didn't have I didn't have any chemo or radiation or nothing. Second time I ended up with cancer, a higher grade cancer, most deadly aggressive form of cancer that exists. It's called HER2/neu, breast cancer. And they's like, you need emergency surgery. You need chemotherapy for a year, and you're going to need radiation after 6 months, and you need to be on these pills, tamoxifen, for 10 years. And I was like, okay. Because I'm thinking, I don't know. HER2/neu, the most aggressive form, and I got it. What? And they found it. And it's not like they looked at my breast and said, "Oh, you might have it." No, they did a needle biopsy, pulled it out, had it on the test on a little, one of those little screen thingies. Anyway, so I'm just saying, okay. But then after I had the surgery, I had a peculiar turn of events, which I'll tell you about another time. But what I want to say is that I ended up not having any chemo, any radiation, or anything at that time. And but all I had been praying for all that time was just that I would make it through the chemo without, I was running for office. I was running for senator the first time when they diagnosed me. And I'm like, how am I running for office while I'm getting chemo? How am I going to hide that? And so I was trying to figure that out. And I was just praying, God, help me to have the strength that I need, and make me look the way I need to look, so I can just go ahead and keep running and just have this chemo. But my prayer was that he helped me through it. Okay. My prayer never was get rid of it. Okay. But the third time when it came, I'm like, enough. Okay. Enough. I had this too many times, and I had too many surgeries. I'm tired of this. And they're going to talk about taking my breast off. Are you insane? Right? So I put a demand on something. I made a demand that I was done with this. It wasn't, let me make it through it by faith. Let me make it work by faith. No, enough. Same thing when I hit platinum in the other company. I saw those uncircumcised Philistines on stage. I'm like, enough. They don't have no business on the stage teaching us how to get wealth. And I got upset about them being there. And I'm like, no, they got to come down. That's when I put a demand on wealth, and I was able to attract wealth. It's the same thing with my health. When I got to a certain weight, and I just got so frustrated with my weight and the way I felt, and I just said, enough. And I just said, you know what? I got to just get out of here. Hashtag, I see myself as a size 10. And you know what? I put a demand out there. And see, that's what we're missing. We dancing around. That's what I was doing. Every time I get cancer, I'm dancing around the issue, the big elephant in the middle of the room. Oh, God, help me, bless me, let me make it through this, strengthen me, make me look okay, all that. Instead of like, no, this elephant got to go. Okay, he's got to go now. All right. But once I did that, that's when you open up a whole flood of resources that come rushing to you from the universe, because you have made a demand. Power will concede nothing without your demand. Wakana, what is your demand? I'm Dr. Pat, and I'm always going to be here inspiring you to rise to purpose. Have a great day.
Drop the mic, my sister. Have an awesome day, Wakana Mary. What is your